What's going on, guys? Matt here. Today we are looking at an assisted opening knife by Kershaw. We are looking at the Kershaw Blur. We are in the new setup. I am excited to be doing these reviews for you guys. Remember to like and subscribe as the video goes on and to keep up with the content flow. I really appreciate it. But let's get into it. So I have opened this knife, but I just wanted to show you kind of what the package looks like. This is pretty standard for knives, kind of a plastic or a cardboard box like with the Cold Steel Immortal, and then it'll be in plastic probably. The Kershaw Blur. This is a very popular knife. It's very well known. A lot of knife guys own these or know of them. Before we get into the specs, let's look into some size comparisons. So the Ontario Rat 1, you're looking at a slightly larger blade, hardly larger though, to be honest, like 0.1 inches. And you're looking at half an inch almost on that extra handle. Let's get that centered. All right, let's look at the Kaiser Begleiter. Similar sized blade, pretty popular knife. Yeah, okay. And let's look at what I believe is one of its cheap competitions, the Cold Steel Code 4. All right. Both aluminum handles right there. Similar sized blade, but you're getting quite a bit more handle on that Cold Steel. All right, guys, let's get into these specs. So the Kershaw Blur, you're looking at an overall length of 7.875 inches, blade length of just under 3 inches. It is 0.12 inches thick, so that's the blade stock right there. This particular model is 14C28N. This is the drop point design with the stonewash finish, nice stonewash finish. This is also available in S30V. It is hollow ground. This is, and the handle is 4.5 inches. So you can find this in S30V. You can find it in Tanto with serrations, without serrations, in different colors. And we'll talk about kind of that here in a little bit. So guys, let's get into what I like. Then we'll get into what I dislike and then something unique about the Kershaw Blur. First thing I like about this, I touched on it in the specs. You can get this in so many different forms. I really like that. You can get this in a Tanto. You can get this with half serrations, without half serrations, plain edge, Tanto, drop point, black blade, black handle, green handle, blue handle. I've seen like purple or pink. So I really appreciate that they've thought of all of those different handles and kind of giving you different colors and different styles. I really appreciate when a knife company does that. And usually when a knife company does that, that it is a popular knife, and this is a popular knife. So another thing I really like about this knife is the blade. I love that drop point design, and I love that stonewash finish. What a stonewash finish will do is if your blade gets scratched, you're not going to notice it as much because it looks intentional. I like that stonewash finish, and I think they're done really well on these Kershaw Blurs and on quite a few other knives. Say if this knife gets scratched, this Kaiser Begleiter, you're going to notice that scratch very plainly, especially with that coating. Cut myself in the last knife review, and it's still healing up. So I really like that blade, and I like all the different options you have. Another thing I really love about this knife is this handle. Guys, I love aluminum as a knife handle. I think it is a fantastic knife handle if done right, and it is done right. This is an open design. The thing that's done really well on this is they've used aluminum. That anodized blue is really pretty, by the way, too. I hope the camera's capturing that correctly. And they've put, this isn't quite skateboard grip tape, but this is like, it's almost a rubbery grip tape. And they have put it in very strategic places to where when you're holding this knife, you grip it and you hit that tape, and it is very comfortable and it is very grippy. You're not slipping out of this. So a lot of knives that are aluminum handle, Cold Steel Code 4, one of my favorite, you guys know, but this thing is slippery as all get out, guys. So, I really like the aluminum handle knives, but they can be slippery. The Kershaw Blur does this very well, and they have mitigated that. They also have that line of jimping that is effective. So grip-wise, you're not going to have to worry about a knife like this. Guys, I really like this blade. I like this handle, and I like all the options that you have with this knife. So what do I not like about it? Well, there's a few things. There's a few minor things that I could get over, and one thing that I cannot get over. Let's talk about the minor things. That tip is a little bit too thin for me. On the Tanto, it's a little bit stronger, but I prefer to have this drop point recurve design. So that's a little bit too thin for me. Will it be fine for everyday stuff? Absolutely, it will be perfectly fine, but I would prefer a tiny bit more stout of a tip on it. Kershaw Bag Glider has a little bit stouter of a tip, and I kind of prefer that stronger tip. Another thing I don't like is a lot of these, they don't go all the way down. The edge does not go all the way down to the choil, which there's no reason it shouldn't, guys. That's just there's just no reason that edge shouldn't go down there. Last minor thing I don't like, and it's less minor, but it's not so major, is I do not like that clip. I know a lot of people don't like this clip. It's also found on the leak. When you carry a knife like you should, in my opinion, tip up, most knives anyway, that much is sticking out of your pocket. For a blade, that is 3.4 inches. Guys, that's too much to be sticking out of your pocket, in my opinion. So I don't like that clip, and if you want to pick up a knife like this, or even the leak, I recommend you getting one of these deep carry clips. I don't know what brand this is, MXG Gear maybe. So I recommend getting a clip like this. It's going to carry so much better. Guys, let's get on to the major issue with this knife, because overall I love this knife. Oh, another thing I want to mention, it is made in the States, and it is a Kershaw design. Both fantastic things. Let's talk about this. So there are a lot of good things to like about this knife. I just talked about them, right? The blade, the handle, even the assisted opening, which I don't usually like at all. It's really nice. It can be closed one-handed. It seems smooth. They don't seem to be using it as kind of a scapegoat to get out of having a nice pivot. The QC issues on these things are unacceptable, in my opinion. This is the third Blur that I've owned. The first was a Tanto that was fantastic. It was 14C 28N. Yeah, you guys heard that lock stick, didn't you? And there was nothing wrong with it. Let's look at the centering on that. Now, guys, centering doesn't have to be perfect, especially on a budget knife like this. I consider anything under like 50, 60 bucks to be, a budget knife. Centering doesn't have to be perfect, so long as it doesn't affect anything with the knife. But wait, let's listen. Oh no. Yep, you guys heard that right. That blade is rubbing against that handle scale, and that is unacceptable to me. Matt, tighten the pivot. I did. And the only way to make it not rub against the scale is if you tighten it so hard that it is almost impossible to deploy. That is unacceptable, guys. And the reason I mention that, and I don't say, well, this is a lemon, this is a rare thing. This is the second Blur that I've had that's had this exact same issue. And to me, that is not acceptable. Guys, you gotta, these are so well designed knives. They are, Ken Onion, he's a fantastic knife designer. And when you have an issue like this, like that scale issue or the second kind of QC issue we'll talk about, it makes me so frustrated, because it's easy to rag on a knife that you hate and not be upset about it, because clearly the design is bad, the materials are bad, but when you get a knife, you love the design, you love the way it feels, you love just everything about it, except there are issues with the quality. It frustrates you because you want to love this knife, you want to carry it, but it's not enjoyable to, because of that and because of this other QC issue. You guys have seen me do this on camera. I mean, there is quite a bit of lock stick. If I do a really heavy one, that's just, you guys can hear how hard you have to push that bar, and look at my thumb. I mean, I'm wearing it out from doing that. So that's unacceptable. Those two QC issues, the blade rubbing against the scale and also the amount of lock stick. Now you may say, that'll go away over time. You can use some oil, maybe, but I've never had an issue with the rats. Maybe people have, but I mean, even if there was a tiny bit of lock stick when I first got this, and it went away very quickly after. I'm talking about like 10 or 15 flips. Now you can't even hear that. Same thing with the bag glider. There's just no lock stick at all. Guys, I don't mind a little bit of lock stick if it's just kind of coming out of the package, but I've probably flipped this thing open 200 times, and there's still just too much lock stick in it. So overall, would I recommend it? Guys, it's really hard to recommend the Blur because I love the design, but I can't stand that there are so many issues with it. What I would say is, if you have a knife store locally, I know that even like Walmart here in the States has carried these. Go there, find one, flip it open and closed. If you're not having the lock stick issues, if you're not having the centering issues, then I say pick it up, because it is a fantastic knife. if you can't, I can't say that I would recommend you pick up a Kershaw Blur, unfortunately. As much as I love this, as much as I think that this is a great design, even for 60 bucks, 14C28 in is a good steel. It's not a great steel. Spend the extra 10 bucks, get S30V if you want a premium steel. I love the design, I love the handle, I love the blade, but I can't get over those QC issues. Kershaw, I would love for you to have a little bit of better quality control and put out these knives, and I would love to have to, to want to carry this thing, but I just can't recommend it at this point. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you watching. I don't like doing negative reviews. I don't like ending on a negative note, but sometimes you have to do that as an honest gear reviewer. So remember to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about the Kershaw Blur. Have you had issues with that? Do you guys really like it? Do you hate it? What do you think about it? Make sure and give us a thumbs up on this video, and we'll see you in the next one.